The maunga to me is a tupuna. It's a kaumātua, it's a tino tupuna. It's like I've heard a karanga coming from the maunga. And this karanga that's coming from this particular maunga is hara mai, come back to the ngāhere and be restored, refreshed.
Ko rangi, ko papakapu te tēne ko tāne. Tūriki whakataha ki a tīna hui e tae ki e.
Ko tahi tonu te wairua ngā mea katoa. There is one great spirit that pervades through all things. Therefore, Mātauranga Māori is to look for that commonality.
Turu ofeti whakamaua ki a tīna hui e tae ki e.
People might say, oh, that's like spirituality, because now you're talking about, is there a creator of all of this? Māori living in their natural world is spirituality. We are wairua. We are wearing kākahu ko tinana. We are wearing kariaroto as ways of taking in information, comes into our system, and our kariaroto then starts talking to the hinengaro and tells the hinengaro a narrative around what's going on. Mātauranga is about actually getting people having a relationship with their Taiao and developing a deeper conversation with the planet, with Mother Earth, with Papa Tuanuku, with Rangi Nui. That's the purpose of Mātauranga for me. If I'm relating to the ngāhere in terms of tupuna status and I have tuakana like my elders, I'm going to have a relationship that's very, very different. And that relationship is going to be around kaitiakitanga. Just if I hear that my grandmother is home and she's ill or she doesn't have enough kai, or she's pōhara at the moment, she doesn't have enough resources, that's on me to go and do something about that. When we have that relationship, that's a good start. Listening to the oro of the ngāhere, just sitting there listening and emulating some of those sounds that the ngāhere is producing through what we call tāne hoka hoka, which is the consciousness of manu. Interacting with manu is a good thing to get people to come into here to do. And then from there, people start to realise what a taonga, the ngāhere is, but actually the Pūoro is more of a fishing lure to get them to come in here first of all. This is another rongo that they make, bro. Thank you, Josie. They use the stuff for kahi katoa that they use instead of that other trigene food.
This is what kills the pathogen, kanuka. It's better for the environment and it's, part of our kauri ora kaupapa, using rua Māori as opposed to anything else. Ka pai.
Kia ora, te kahui o ngā riki. Kia ora, tawhiti atu ki a tāne. Tāne whakapiripiri, tāne te wānanga, tāne te wai ora.
For the last year, our kauri ora kaupapa has been carried out within Te Rarawa, Ngāti Piri, Te Roroa and Ngāti Wai. And so the rākau matua that we're going in to see very soon is part of our Ngāti Wai team's rākau rangatira that they've been looking after. Just taking you as whānau in to have a look what the team have been up to and play some Taonga Pūoro, which is another part of our kauri ora mahi, part of the intangible rongoa treatments.
The ngāhere are starting to get in real dire straits from things that are happening to Kauri. Paitothra agathidicida is creating havoc. We often refer to these as the ngangara o te ngāhere, these particular diseases that are now touching, especially Kauri and tāne kaha as species inside of the ngāhere, and that's decimating some areas. Kauri are just falling in numbers.
Te matangaro, koyo, te pūiho, koyo, te pūiho. Ko tira tangata, te pūkenetanga, te waihanga, ko te rata, te wainga. Te ruki a te hiningara, te tinoi, te tira. Koyo, te a, te pūtanga, ngā mihangina, tūtuia, te hera te mū, te tangata.
The thing about that organism that we need to really get our heads around is it's beating science. It's been engineered by Papa Tuanuku in such a way that it's it's so hard to stop. So we have to be very, very careful and very hygienic with our practices, just like we'd look after one of our great-grandparents. We didn't want them to get COVID. What I know about it is that it can travel via humans, it can travel via pigs, by dogs, it can go into a dormant area where it's dry and sit there for a couple of years easily and just be activated by water again. Basically, it just finds a way in where the roots are sucking up water, and right in those feeding straws, it just hits that straight away and starts to disease the tree from the bottom up and chokes it off. So our poor Kauri, it doesn't matter how huge they are not immune.
I'm just going to introduce you to two of our taonga here. But the thing that's the most important about these two here is they're both Kauri. So to come back and put the resonance of Kauri back into the Kauri with these is what doing parihaka. Just to keep, instead of waiting for it to come, we just go in there and send that Kauri vibration into the Kauri anyway. And it's to try and invigorate it. But it's also these ones here talking, being alive still, because they were once beautiful like this. We just try and remind the Kauri of its mana through sound.
They don't have their own immunity, but we are finding rongoā. There are people doing mahi up here in Tai Tokerau, amazing mahi with remedies that come from a te ao Māori perspective.
Every time I come here, it's really hard not to cry because you can see it, you can feel it. It's not good, eh? It's really not good, the state of our taonga. But this is a start, having our future kaitiaki here. Aroha nui to all of you.
Right.
Tui ai runga, tui ai raro, tui ai roto, tui ai waho. Tui ai aro.
Pohutakawa are taonga species as well.
Takoto ake nei. Tui whairaki ara.
They're part of our storytelling.
Papatu anu ki tau te tipu e whakaata mai.
They're also a resource that are very important to te ao Māori.
Tua hua kina a te whatu manua. Ko hea te ngā wōrangi o papa ki te kōpū hei muramura toha ki te ao kia turuturu mai te tō mai rangi whakapūiake. Kia tupu, kia whanaki me he rākau. Ko tēnei he rākau he pōhutakawa tēnei te aka-akoto wairua. Tēnei te rākau tēnei ko Kauri. Ko Kauri tēnei ka torona ki te rangi nei. Tū whera mai ki a mātou nei. Ko mātou nei tēnei te piringa o rangi nui rawa ko papatū ānuku. Te tuhiki I runga ka rarapu ki I raro ka puta mai ko te ira tangata. Ka tuku tēnei ki a koe te maunga tū, te te ao I te pōko manaia. Ka tū whera mai tēnei te wahanui ki a mātou nei tawaharoa. Ka ahi koe mātou I tēnei te huarahi pae ki a tū whera mai nei tēnei te manga tūpuna. Turu wōwhiti whakamaua ki a tīna, haumi e, hui e, tai ki e. Whaia, turu tapunui a tāne.
Today we've come in to open up the gateway for ourselves to be in here, to help these Pūoro sing again on this beautiful tupuna maunga called Manaia. And we're going to help the descendants from this place, help to reawaken these Pūoro here in Whangārei. At the same time, we're trying to raise awareness about what's happening out here to Pohutakawa, where that myrtle rust is starting to affect some of our Pohutakawa. Myrtle rust is an airborne disease. It'll hit a leaf, it'll land on the leaf itself, and it'll just start to disease the plant. It'll start to burn off the leaf, it'll create a pollen kind of dust, and that dust there will then spread to others via wind, and that can be devastating for us. So I think we need to get really serious about myrtle rust, knowing how important Pohutakawa is with our wairua travels. There's a space in between the physical and the spiritual that exists on maunga, and if we think of the word maunga, mau, ngā being the breath. So when you come in here, ka mau ngā is that you start to capture that breath and the mountain captures you and you're breathing. And if we go, the next part of it is ngā here. It's got that ngā again. Ngā here means to be bound to that breath. If we think about that, we're actually bound to the forest of Te Wao Tapu Nui a Tāne through our breath
outwards and our breath inwards, there's a binding that's there. One that cannot exist without the other. So ngāhere and maunga consciousness is really what we're trying to raise here, and to say, hey, we walk past these things every day, we are on them, but do we really understand the depth of gratitude that we can feel here? We see these beautiful instruments now being utilised on stages around the world, but we want to hear them in the ngāhere too. And I'm a professional musician who's taken all my stuff on the stage now and thought, that's great, I've been able to do this for people. What can we do for our ngāhere with this gift of sound that we've been given as humans? Ka te tonu e pohu tu kaua, ki runga ngā maunga whakahihi. Because we just opened the gateway this morning with a karakia, the next stage is actually to go and talk to our people who are the experts here. We've got Te Warihi Hetaraka, who's connected to many iwi and hapu, but is one of our tōhunga around here, and some would say is te tōhunga o ngā tōhunga o konei. We're going to go have a talk with him today, and then that'll shape more of where we're going.
So that could come out of the one, from the one
Why do they do that?
I te maunga tapu ki runga rā, I tēnei o rua te pupuke. Rua te hihiri, rua te mahara.
The maunga here is calling out to us to come into this ngāhere and exert our kaitiakitanga. We don't have to be Aotearoa. You don't have to be a person who's just a descendant from here. It's actually a responsibility of us all as kaitiaki. Pūoro is a way to get people to come into here first of all.
Tēnei taha.
We're just doing an investigation, really, using Pūoro to get people to feel comfortable to talk to the maunga and the ngāhere with things.
So when we entered the forest to take a tree, we went in to carry a certain brickings and we were able to pacify. Ngāhere is called ngāhere because it does exactly that. It's connected with the branches, but more so it's connected with the root structure beneath the ground. They talk to each other. They feed each other. So I heard early on that the focus is on kauri, and we didn't do lately because everybody focused their attention on the kauri, on whatever tree. From our worldview, our focus is on the well-being of the entire forest. We can't isolate any one of them. If one is sick, the whole forest is sick. And this, again, I come back to this exercise. It's the exercise that will tune us in to realizing the importance of the entire forest. I never forget, the only time I ever saw my dad angry was when he was told he can't shoot pigeons anymore because we were killing them off. Why he became angry, he saw our forest, the home of that animal, disappear. He saw it disappear. Piles and piles of kauri trees, bottom, lined up on our beaches, ready to be towed away somewhere else. And they were blaming him for the loss of the pigeon and those animals that they were brought up on for centuries, that sustained them for centuries. And the reason why it sustained them for centuries is because how they were tuned in to the environment.
We have to be looking from a kaitiaki perspective, and we have to be looking using tikanga. We could say, from a Mātauranga point of view, he whati tikanga, he raru kei te haere. If a tikanga is broken, there's going to be trouble that's going to be on your way, you know? So I feel that we have to look at our tikanga practices first of all and really adhere to them. That's the first place. Where did this ngangara come from? We can follow a trail back. Interestingly enough, the myrtle rust, I think, was found in Kirikiri up here in Northland, first of all, in a nursery. But we know it's come from overseas as well. And also the same with Waitothpura Agatha dissida was also found in a nursery, according to some stories up here from Surinkai Mātua as well. Thinking about those two pathogens coming out of a nursery makes you think that there's a human element and human factor coming in here, because it's not coming straight out of a ngāhere, for instance, but the human vector is somehow transferring that to being a ngāhere problem, which shows that if we are creating it, it's up to us to also come up with a remedy. One, to halt it. Two, to stop its further spread. And three, to stop these practices, whatever's introducing these type of pathogens in the first place. Are we trying to do something to produce super trees? Who knows? But I know that kauri has definitely been tested to try and grow faster so that we can get bigger yields out of it. Is that kind of practice ethical for us as Māori? Is the practice of trying to hybridize a plant to give it better immunity, is that creating issues? And that's the sort of thing we need to start looking at a little bit deeper. But that's a science issue. Coming from a Mātauranga viewpoint about this is more about the holistic ngāhere itself. It's our practices that we are doing as humans, the way that we think, the way that we're applying ourselves to life at the moment. Is it in accordance with what we call te piringa? Te piringa is the space between rangi and papa.
wai, ko wau, ko te wai. Ko wau, ko te wai, ko wai, ko wau, ko te wai. Ko wau, ko te wai, ko te wai, ko wau, ko te wai. Ko wau, ko te wai, ko te wai, ko wau, ko te wai. Ko wau, ko te wai, ko te wai, ko wau, ko te wai. Ka pau pau tuki tuki, pau pau tuki tuki, oh yeah, oh yeah.